students out there, good day to you. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about rational decision making. Except we are not quite rational. And this is a field of economics known as behavioral economics that have come about in the last decade or so with the acknowledgement that we humans are not quite rational. And so the often made assumption in economic models of rationality does not quite hold in reality. That consumers are rational, utility maximizers, but that is very often not quite true. And so on and so forth. And therefore today, we want to learn about in what ways do we tend to be irrational. And then let's study what implications there can be and how even firms and governments can make use of this knowledge. So we are looking at what is known as cognitive biases. Alright, cognitive biases. What on earth does that mean? Essentially, it means errors in our thinking. Errors in our thinking. Okay, what are the errors that we make in our thinking? One of them is known as the sunk cost fallacy. And I believe most of you or all of you have already been exposed to this fallacy known as sunk cost fallacy. It is a cost that is already incurred, cannot be recovered. Rationally speaking, only future costs and benefits should affect our next decision. But I already paid so much for the car. How can I not use it? You know, the COE very high, you know. Then I must drive, otherwise it become a white elephant. How often we hear that statement. Yet, whether I should drive the car today should be based on what are today's costs and benefits that I will experience, and not how much I already paid for the car. That is, sort of crying over spilled milk. It has already happened. You can't change that, and you can't recover that. So it should not make a difference to our decision making today. How about this one? Oh, but we've been together for so many years. How could I ditch him? Or how could I ditch her right now? But that is already a sunk cost. You've been together for so many years. Yeah, that has already incurred. That cannot be recovered. And so whether you should continue in this relationship with him or her should be dependent only on the future costs and the future benefits. What do you see to be the future? If the costs outweigh the benefits, then hey, it doesn't matter how many years you've been together, okay? If the cost outweighs the benefits, okay, I think you probably need to act now. Something like that. But yet, very, very often, we fall into this trap known as sunk cost fallacy. So this is an error in thinking. This is one of our cognitive biases. Okay. Next, loss aversion. The pain of loss feels much greater. Some say 2 times greater. Okay, double the impact. Okay, I'm not sure how they got the number. How come 2 times? So anyway, for me, I just say much greater than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. Losing something feels much worse than the enjoyment of gaining something equivalent. Rationally speaking, should be same what. But yet, practically, in reality, it doesn't seem to be the case. Is that why very often people are thinking about their exes? Even though they are already attached to someone new, but they still, maybe the loss, the pain of loss indeed feels much greater. But it is irrational. Okay, because by right, hey man, okay, the feelings now of having gained someone new, okay, should be quite equivalent, hopefully, okay, should be able to offset, hopefully, okay, the pain of the loss. But yet, very often, it doesn't feel that way. Now, with this knowledge, it seems that a plastic bag tax has been more effective in deterring plastic bag usage than rewarding consumers. All of you should more or less know that we've got a plastic bag problem, right? We have got a plastic problem. Okay? And as a result, governments around the world have been thinking about how can they and can society, can consumers reduce the usage of plastics, okay, including of course recycling it and so on. But in this case, it is declining the use of plastic bags. And studies have shown that a tax is more effective than if you reward the consumer for not using the plastic bag. Hey, boy, you don't take the plastic bag lah. I give you 10 cents, okay? Boy says, 10 cents? No, I want the bag. But if it were, hey, boy, now plastic bag must pay 10 cents, huh? Must pay 10 cents. No need. I don't need the bag. Behavior has changed. Decision has changed. Even though same, right? 10 cents, same. But yet, and therefore, so this is very, very interesting. It's not rational because they should still be the same, but yet, that's how consumers make decisions. And therefore, firms and governments can make use of this knowledge in their strategy or their policy implementation. Salience bias. When we base our decisions on factors that appear more prominent. So whatever factor that's more highlighted to us, okay, that becomes more important in our decision making, ignoring other possibly more important aspects. Okay, so there are other factors that you need to consider, right? Okay, but you got tricked lah. Okay, in a way you got tricked to only pay attention to the one that is more prominently appearing. Salience bias. Now, actually, firms do this all the time. This is marketing, right? This is the very basics of marketing and advertising. Firms do it, firms exploit it all the time. Now, before I talk about this, let's look at a more exciting example. Ta-da! Okay, when I'm not tutoring, then I have a part-time job lah. So I'm here as well. And what are they selling? They're selling cleaning services. What's prominent here? Okay, I think it's self-explanatory. And whoa! Apparently, some consumers, okay, I cannot mention the gender and it's probably both, okay, quite keen to engage them, or engage us, I may say. But actually, there are many factors and other factors involved, like what's the cleaning experience? And by the way, this is a cleaning job, and they are using equipments. I don't think need very strong, right? This is not a hacking job. It's a cleaning job. But you see the exploitation of our salience bias, right? And by the way, other factors to consider. The pail so small. Ayo, muscle so big but carry the pail so small. I think the productivity level must be very low, right? This is called looks good, but may not be really good. Okay, so it may cause you to ignore other factors which could be more important. Now let's take a look at this. This is a Canadian government example. Okay, it is about renewal of road taxes. When you own a vehicle, very often there are road taxes that you have to pay. It happens, for example, in Singapore as well, in Canada, probably all over the world. And you know, everywhere in the world there has been that push, the drive towards online transactions, okay, for obvious reasons. And so this is what they used to do in the past. They used to send this letter or this note out, okay, to the Canadians, right? And then they applied salience bias and they made some tweaks to this letter that was sent out. You can see the difference. You can see that it's being highlighted. It's being made more prominent, okay? And the outcomes were fantastic. Okay, there was a huge difference. Many people subsequently renewed their road taxes online. Massive impact. So by making use of this knowledge, the governments and of course the firms as well can tweak the way they do things in order to achieve their outcomes, in order for them to be more effective in achieving their outcomes. Actually, again, as I said, firms have done this since centuries ago, probably. Okay, but the governments, because they are not profit motivated, okay, are quite slow to the game, but they are now learning to do so. All right, and also there's another tweak. In the past, it used to be renew online and receive a 10-day extension. Now it's instant, easy renewal. So you can see as well that the benefits are also made a lot more prominent. Okay, this one, 10-day extension. I thought 10-day staycation. 10-day extension. Alright. So now the benefits are more prominent. Now this action that they are trying to persuade you to do is also more prominent, and it works. It works much better. So these are cognitive biases and also examples of how governments and even firms exploit it. Okay, there are many other cognitive biases, okay, but we are not going to have time to run through all of them. Just to mention a few more. Herd mentality. Hey, auntie, all your friends already vaccinated. That is herd mentality, right? Status quo bias. Okay, the default option. The default option is you will be transacting online. If you want physical, then you must write in to us. So the default option is always the one that you want to achieve, right? Because most of the time people will just go with the status quo. Okay, that's what the status quo bias means. Okay, because keeping at the status quo is easy and convenient, right? If you did it the other way around, the default option is physical transaction. Wow. Then if you want to go online, please log in here and register here. Okay, then you will find that the take-up rate for online is going to be much lower. Okay, because there is a tendency to just go with the flow in terms of the status quo. Hyperbolic discounting, 80% off. Wow, 80% off. The discount is 80%. Whoa, 80% off. And today only. Whoa. Okay. Alright, it doesn't matter that the prices just increased by 100% and then they gave you 80% off. That doesn't matter. Okay, the very fact that it's 80% off, okay, you can see it's a play on our minds. Right? And that's a cognitive bias. Okay, that's because we have errors in our thinking. Okay, so whoa, 80% off, and immediately it triggers that emotional, that impulsive response in us. Wow, I think a very good deal. I think must buy. Okay, and that's how okay, we may get ourselves tricked from time to time. So this is pretty obvious. Firms use it, governments use it, they call it policy nudges nowadays. Okay, basically they don't want to make it mandatory. They try not to because it can be a backlash against the government. The government gets very unpopular, but they find means and ways to give you a little nudge in the right direction. Something like that. Okay? Now, personally, and it should go beyond exams, of course, personally, how do we make use of this knowledge? We should make use of this knowledge to avoid these cognitive biases. You should check yourself, are you committing a sunk cost fallacy? Are you committing a loss aversion error? Right? Or are you committing a salience bias? Have you checked all other factors? Etc. We should use this knowledge to improve our thinking and decision making, and hopefully we will be more rational, and make better decisions. Okay? But unfortunately, this is something you can do for yourself, but the majority of the population out there may still be experiencing these cognitive biases. So in the meantime, you can expect the firms are still going to be exploiting it, and the governments now can also get into the game to be making use of it so that the policies they roll out can be more effective. Okay? Now in the exams, I don't expect this to be a large mark question, but in your policy evaluation or in even discussing strategy of firms, these points about these biases could possibly be weaved in, could possibly be taken into account. For example, if you're going to evaluate the plastic bag tax, yeah, it works. One more plus point is the fact that it is going to work better because of loss aversion, right? Than trying to give them some reward not to use the plastic bag. So you can use these points to make recommendations, to make evaluations of whatever government policies and whatever firm strategies there may be. So that is how we expect to apply it in our exams. Alright? But economics is beyond exams, and so very importantly, I hope that you will learn to apply it at a personal level. And should you become an entrepreneur or some manager in future at the level of firms, and even, okay, if you become a policy maker in future, certainly this is also going to be very useful. Cheers! I'll see you the next time. That's all for today. Ciao!